Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we got another episode of reviewing NHL teams off-season so far. As today we got the Boston Bruins ahead of us as they had a pretty interesting off-season, making a lot of big depth moves and improving upon that defensive core. But the biggest thing is that they're missing a second line centerman as David Krejci left the team to go back to his home. So that leaves a big spot at that number 2 spot, but we'll get into that much later on. I'd like to just say, if you are new to the channel though, make sure to hit that subscribe button and also hit that like button as well. That would be very much appreciated. Now remember everyone, this series is all about reviewing the team and giving them a letter grade near the end. Now last year they had a C+, and also this is a series where we talk about all their free agent moves, their trades, their drafting, whatever it may be during this offseason. We talk about, we review, and it goes right into a letter grade. Now remember, this team had a C+ grade last year, and the reason why we gave them that last year was because they didn't really improve upon their defense core. Their defense core was really weak going into last year, just because they really had no cap. This year, they had a little bit more cap. They were able to sign some big name players like a Nick Felino. They were able to re-sign Taylor Hall. Derek Forbort and Mike Riley were added to the defense core. Mike Riley was added through trade throughout the season, but he re-signed here with Boston. So let's get right into everything, and we'll start off with the trading. Now, first of all, they traded away Vlandor for a third-round pick from the Calgary Flames. Now, Dan Vladar, he looked really good when he did play with the Boston Bruins, but when you already have a pretty, big future guy there in Jeremy Swayman, who looks like he will most likely be backing up Linus Omar this year, you really don't need a Vlador, and he's going to be sent off the Calgary Flames. I see it as a bit of a loss, but you do get a nice third-round pick going into next year, which I think is a pick they don't have. So at least you now have all the picks going into next year's draft, and we know how well the next year's draft it might look like, especially with Shane Wright, and you got Savoy and Lambert. So there's some really good prospects. This team is going to do good no matter what, so they're not going to be going after those guys, but this draft might be a little bit deeper than most years. Anyways, since we're talking about the draft, we'll jump on to that, and we'll look at their 2021 draft, which wasn't that bad. They picked up a nice prospect in Fabian Lysell. He has some big questions. Brett Harrison as well. He plays for the Ottawa Generals, I think, there. He looks like he could be a seriously good prospect, but this draft was, meh. There wasn't any big studs that they got that I really know, and maybe if you guys know more about this draft class here for the Boston Bruins, maybe you guys are able to put some more information there, but I'm not too sure what they got in terms of value. But the Fabian Lysell pickup, there's a lot of hype behind him. Will he turn out to be good? I don't know. He's a good Swedish. I think he's a Swedish-born player, if I'm correct. Yes, Fabian Lysell in the Swedish league. He only had 3 points in 26 games, so he wasn't the biggest producer the year before this year, and he didn't really play a lot of hockey. I guess, this is this year. My bad. But his juniors, he's put up 9 points in 7 games. He looks like he could be a pretty solid producer going forward. And, they need some future wingers to kind of come up that core here in the next little bit. So, and especially a very skilled winger as well, because they haven't really got a lot of, skilled players that could play that type of role like a Fabian Lysell. Definitely a better draft than what it was last year, with the fact that they got Fabian Lysell and also Brett Harris as well. So, this is where the big thing is for the Boston Bruins, is their free agency. They did a lot of moves. We'll talk about the departures first before we get into all the signings, as of course Sean Corali was one of the guys that left, which I don't think is that big of a loss. A guy that signed 4 years for 2.5 when he was a depth guy for the Boston Bruins. I don't think they're going to be missing very much out on him. Otherwise, they also lost Nick Ritchie. He was kind of a guy that wasn't, he was sometimes, but other times he wasn't. He was a decent performer, but with them picking up Nick Felino and Eric Holla, it's just better to go with those guys than Nick Ritchie. They also lost Halak, which, $3 million is definitely not worth Yaroslav Halak there in Vancouver. He had a bit of a down year. It looks like he's going to continue to decline. Thomas Nosek, really nice signing there. They also lost Tenorti and Andre Kasha. Otherwise, though, for their free agent signings, we'll start it all off with, I think the Taylor Hall signing, I think, was one of the bigger signings that they got. Am I correct that they signed this one here soon, right? Or am I just not seeing it? Right? Am I not seeing it at all? I must not be seeing. I must be super damn blind because he did re-sign with the team this year, signing a $6 million deal for 4 years. Here it is. Right here. There we go. $6 million for the next 4 years for Taylor Hall, which I think is a steal of a deal. Taylor Hall is a seriously really good player to have on your team moving forward. And also getting Brandon Carlo back to 6 years at 4.1. You know, it's kind of tough to say that if he's going to deserve it right now because he didn't have the greatest year defensively, but the top four was kind of in shambles and he was relied on a lot. And I think Brandon Carlo did go down with a few injuries and only played about 27 games. So we'll see how well he does going into next year, but he's a really solid defensive defenseman, top four guy. That $4.1 million might look like a steal later on. This Mike Riley deal though, 3 years at $3 million is an absolute steal. Mike Riley is a great offensive defenseman. He put up like 27 assists there throughout this year between Ottawa and Boston, and that's amazing to put up 19 points. He was probably one of the better defensemen also in Ottawa whenever I watched him, and then he just went off to Boston and just continued to produce points, and he doesn't play that bad defensively either, and they needed a good offensive defenseman to play on the power play, and he's just that perfect guy for them. Now moving into the big free agents, they got Thomas Nosek, a nice depth signing for them, nice defensively guy. He's going to probably play around third, fourth line minutes most likely. Not too special, but 1.75. He's way cheaper than Corali. Then you also got Eric Holla, who is a guy that's produced major points before. This is a guy that, has thrown up, what was it, 55 points a few years back. So this is a guy that can potentially have that potential of, scoring on will. So good pickup here by Boston Bruins. Maybe even a guy that could play up on the second line. His analytics really don't support the guy, though. He doesn't look that amazing. And then Derek Forbort up next, 3 years at $3 million, which is a bit of an overpayment for Derek Forbort, but he was a really solid defensive defenseman for the Winnipeg Jets, even though they were a pretty weak defensive team. I like to see where he will fit. Most likely, he will be playing alongside of McAvoy, I'm guessing, or he'll be playing on top six time alongside of Connor Clifton. But I can most likely see Forbort playing alongside of McAvoy throughout the season. And then you got Nick Felino, who signed a 2-year, $3.8 million deal. Nice depth guy, defensively prowess. Nick Felino is very smart defensively. He's not going to pot you a lot of goals, but he's going to play a really good two-way game for your team, and I think that's what the Boston Bruins need. And then, of course, last but not least, the biggest one of them all, Linus Omar signs a $5 million deal for the next 4 years, and this is this could be either a steal for the Boston Bruins or it could be really bad luck. Looking at his stats, you could say that, yeah, this goalie looks absolutely terrific at .917 this past year with a .263 goals against average. And once again, we're going to say thank you to Jfresh. Go check out his link down in the description below for all the great analytics that he posts. I absolutely love them. And he just posted these new cards kind of going over historic. Like, you could go take a look at some analytics of like Kovalev, for example, from 2008, and Sakakoivu and all those guys. If you really are interested in that, I would definitely go check him out. The link will be down in the description below. But this is Linus Omar's analytics, and it just continues to go up. Every single year, he just seems to improve. And if the Boston Bruins are getting the guy that's going to continue on improving throughout his prime, then this is a steal for the Boston Bruins, and they have their next starting goalie for the next few years. And he's put up some really good numbers with a really, really bad Buffalo Sabres team. So I think this could potentially be a really, really good move for the Boston Bruins. So there we go. There's all their moves. They did a lot. They had a lot of money to fill in some roster spots, and I thought they used it pretty good. I thought this offseason was way better than last season. They were able to spend the money that they really wanted to spend and pick up players that are really going to help this team move forward. Now, what are their biggest weaknesses going into next year? I would have to say is their center core. Running Charlie Coyle as your second line centerman, you really do not want to be doing that when Craig Smith is mostly a third line guy anyways. You don't really want him playing up on that second line. Craig Smith is more of your third line guy. He's now playing up on that second line, and now you're going to have Charlie Coyle. David Krejci was a real big reason why that second line worked with Hall and Smith, and now you don't have them. I feel like that's a huge loss, and that takes it down a couple grades, right? Getting Holla is Nosek, Felino, and all those guys, but they're not going to be able to fill in the role that Krejci, left there. The depth is going to improve there for the Boston Bruins, but for the fact that they lost David Krejci, who throws up 50, 60 points a season, maybe even more than that, is a huge loss for them moving forward, and I'll have to bump that down a couple grades. But their defense looks great. You got Grzelcyk, McAvoy, Riley, Carlo, Forber, Clifton. That's a really solid defense core with a really good goalie in Omar and Swayman. So I think I'm going to have to give this team a B+. I don't think I'm going to have to, like, this offseason would have been almost near an A. I mean, I'm kind of thinking, because maybe a B- might fit this team, but I think I might go with the B+ just because of the fact that they were able to improve upon their defense core. They got Mike Riley to a really, really good deal. Forber, a bit of an overpayment, but you got a really good goalie in Linus, and if it pans out the way that they wanted it to pan out, then it's going to work perfectly. They improved really a lot on their depth, picking up Hala, Nosek, and Nick Felino, so they also kept Lazar as well. So moving forward, I think this team looks pretty good. I'm going to give them a B+. I thought their offseason was pretty good. Only if they were able to pick up, a second-line centerman and able to sign David Krejci, I would have probably given this team almost an A+, with how well this offseason was, and if they drafted a little bit better. But their draft was really not that bad. Their free agent pickups were pretty good. They didn't really overpay. The only player that you would think that they overpaid on was Derek Forber and maybe Linus Ullmark if he doesn't work out too well. So I think the Boston Bruins did pretty well. And tell me guys in the comment section below how you guys thought of the Boston Bruins offseason. But for right now, guys, I'm going to end the video here. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Adios, amigo.